myself I wouldn't fall behind again. Well, look what happened. I'm behind again. So, you have 2 double reviews today. One for this channel, one for the other channel, as well as 2 extra reviews on that channel of the 2 latest movies that have come out. But I'll get to that when I get to that. For now, let's talk about Treehouse Horror 21 and 22. So, let's start with 21. Let me see. Let me move this over a little bit. So it starts with a little segment of Bart and Homer carving pumpkins, and Bart decides to make a jack-o'-lantern stencil out of Homer's pants, and that leads to a fight, and then Professor Frank tries to fast-forward it, and then he accidentally spoils the whole thing, so he uses the remote on himself and turns to dust. That's pretty much the opening. Then we come to the 3 segments, which are all actually great this time. First up is War in Pieces, a spoof of Jumanji. In this episode, after Marge kicks the boys off the video game they're playing because it's too violent, they find some board games to play, including one called Satan's Path, which then turns all the board games into reality, like Kerplunk and Battleship and Monopoly and all these other ones. I know they have other names, but they're literally spoofs of that, come on. They could have at least made it a little less obvious. And then Bart and Milhouse have to finish the game, or they'll be stuck in there forever. It's exceedingly violent. It's pretty freaking hilarious at times, especially Milhouse's death, where he's just like, I think I just don't want to live anymore. Sinks down in a reference to Titanic. And then the little pieces of the little Scrabble-like pieces floating on the water come forward to put Rip right under where he sank. That is ironic and hilarious. And then there's also some really nice moments of gore, like Kerplunk kills the Flanders kids, or when Bart blows up the Crazy Eights with a cannon. It's crazy. It is all kinds of crazy, and I love it. And as a board game enthusiast myself, it was a joy to watch. Sorry. Throat's still a little congested. But yeah, I love War and Pieces. Definitely one of my favorite Treehouse Horror segments. Then we come to the Dead Calm spoof called Master and Cadaver. Homer and Marge rescue a man at sea, and he claims that someone else tried to, actually killed the people there. But then it turns out that after Homer and Marge kill the innocent man, or presumably kill, I should say, they go to this party. They end up finding the boat that the guy was on, and they find out that he was actually telling the truth. He's pissed, and then Homer goes on a killing spree, because it turns out that the other guys aren't dead either. And then it ends with Marge eating a poisoned pie, not wanting to live with the guilt of all these dead men that her husband just murdered. I especially love the flare kill, because it doesn't look that bad at first, just him using it like a club. But then the flare goes through someone else's chest. And it's amazing. It's one of the coolest freaking things. And I absolutely love it for it. Like, what a gnarly death. And then it all turns out it's Maggie imagining things in the bathtub. You know, the evil little devil that she is. And then we come to the one that I wasn't expecting to be my favorite, but actually ended up being my favorite, Tweenlight, a spoof of Twilight, where Lisa falls in love with a vampire, and then Homer first tries to make them feel welcome, and then tries to defend his daughter when they attack her. It's confusing. But a really cool little fun fact I found out about this episode from the Simpsons Theory YouTube channel, I'll put the link in the description below, her channel is really good, is that vampire, the little kid vampire here, the obvious Edward Cullen knockoff, is voiced by Daniel Radcliffe. Yes, that Daniel Radcliffe. The Woman in Black and Harry Potter. Oh, and the recent Weird Al biographical movie that I won't have time to get to this year. Sorry, Daniel. But yeah, this is a legit great episode of Treehouse Horror. The middle segment is a bit shaky, but it's strong enough to stand with the others. But War and Pieces and Tweenlight are the definite highlights here. There's also really nice bits of brutality, some pretty gnarly kills and deaths that, like, seriously, there is some gnarly stuff in here, and I love it. My final verdict for Treehouse of Horror 21 is a strong 9 out of 10. If it weren't for the second segment being just a little bit shaky, and let's be honest, the intro kind of sucks. But it's a 9. It's a really good episode of Treehouse of Horror. That brings us to Treehouse of Horror 22. And this one is not as good. It starts with this opening segment where Homer is supposedly taking this bag of candy to the men and women overseas, the military. But he ends up falling down a hole when he tries to find somewhere to eat that candy himself because, gluttonous bastard and all. And he ends up falling down this chasm, and he has to end up gnawing his own arm off to reach the candy. But then it turns out that the kids tricked him and Marge and replaced the bag of candy with a bag of vegetables. And he's still stuck in the chasm. Like, that is just hilariously twisted. Now we move on to the segments, which are... the segments are a mixed bag. Let's start with the first one, the diving bell and the butterball. In this episode, Homer ends up paralyzed by a spider, and he can only communicate through farting. Yeah, this episode's nothing but fart jokes. It even does that famous Spider-Man meme of him shitting out a web. I mean, it starts out nice and creepy, where you just see his POV not being able to move. And that intro is very creepy, because he literally can't move. He's paralyzed. All he can do is look around. That is frightening, and it's something that real people deal with. To my recollection, anyway. But it falls apart pretty quickly, because it's nothing but fart jokes. Literally nothing but fart jokes, and that turns into a Spider-Man pair? No. First segment's trash, plain and simple. But it's made up for by the second segment, my favorite of the episode, Dial D for Diddly, when Ned, supposedly under the orders of God, becomes a serial killer. He chops people's bodies apart and throws them in the sea. And then the hilarious twist is that Homer ends up having tricked him this whole time with a little speaker in the Bible. And then when Homer tries to set the Bible on fire to prove that there is a God, God comes in and strangles him to death. This one is hilariously twisted and I love it. Seriously, Dial D for Diddly, definitely the best segment of the episode. Then we come to In the Navi, which is an obvious parody of Avatar. This segment's fine. Like, Bart is the main character from that movie, and he ends up getting the alien pregnant, and then they have to fight the humans. This is another one of those segments that's just too bizarre for its own good. I mean, I think that alien Bart is a cool design, but his supposed mate is annoying as hell. The fact that they're collecting Hilarium is just stupid. They could have found a better way to actually work that kind of thing in there. And the ending is anticlimactic. It's fine, but not at all remarkable. And unfortunately, this one is a pretty big step down from 21. It's not horrible by any means. It's not like 2 or 7 bad. But it is not good. It is a... The reason it's not bad is because of that middle segment being so good and hilarious. Because the other two are just whatever. The first one's trash, and then the third one is, again, like Alan to Dr. Hibbert. It's too freaking bizarre for my liking. And because of that, it falls at a dead average 5 out of 10. It would be a 3 if it weren't for the fact that that middle segment is as good as it is. Definitely one I'm not rewatching anytime soon. Alright, and that should get us caught up. Tomorrow we will talk about 23 as we get closer and closer to the end of this marathon and the end of October. Man, it makes me sad that we're almost done with spooky season again this year, but, you know, time's gotta keep going, and we'll still find ways to have fun on this channel, right? I mean, after all, we do got the Sonic Frontier streams coming in November. After I take a brief break to recharge. So, until then, until tomorrow, thanks for watching. I'm Jack Small of Animation Station. Don't forget to subscribe to The Simpsons Theory, tell them that Jack sent you, and I'll see you next time. Peace.